Hey everybody, welcome back to the Golf Podcast. Today we got a good interview for you guys. We're gonna bring Gavin Dear on the show. Gavin is with ShotScope. You guys may have heard him on the show before. We've had him on here and there, and you've seen him if you've watched the Scotland series. We got a chance to play with him. Gavin is a guy who not only is an incredible golfer, but he's been in the golf industry for a very long time, and he's done some really excellent work bringing companies like ShotScope in a lot of ways to where they are today. He's really involved in every aspect of what ShotScope does, from the marketing standpoint all the way to a production standpoint. And we thought it'd be good to bring him on and have a conversation from a equipment manufacturer standpoint of what it looks like, the effects of what's going on right now with coronavirus, COVID-19. We want to see how that's affecting them, because Mike, you and we had a conversation the other day and we were starting to wonder, like, what's going to be the real state of the game? You know, a lot of us chomping at the bit, right, to get back out there. And when we eventually do get back out there, I think you're going to see this resurgence where a lot of golfers are going to go out and start to play and stuff like that. But there's other pieces to consider. You know, you have everything from the economy and you know, people's, you know, income levels changing. We've got a lot of people here who are struggling through that. And there's that side of it. And there's also just the side of from the businesses themselves. You know, you and I saw a lot of brand new small companies at the PGA show. A lot of these guys, you know, they've got all the stuff that comes with being an initial launch of a company, cash flow, things like that. And now all of a sudden you get this wrench thrown in the game where everyone's affected, from manufacturing to retail to shipping. And what does that look like? You know, is that something that can hurt them or help them? And that's why I'm excited. We're going to bring Gavin on and ask him those questions from the inside. What does it look like when you're trying to run a golf company and then all of a sudden golf is shut down for a month or two? You know, especially this time of the year. I mean, this is the kickoff of the season.
Yeah, this is kickoff. This is prime. This is real prime. But I think when it does end, I think the physical playing of the sport, forget about the purchasing of equipment. I just feel, personal opinion, the playing of the sport might be a huge resurgence, because people are still willing to go out there and play now, because it's outdoors and because you don't have to really touch the cup, or you're standing far apart and stuff like that. I think it's more the restaurants and the more enclosed spaces that might struggle on the way back. But hey, we'll see. All right. Only time can tell at this point.
And there's no doubt about that. I mean, there's such a huge part of the golf industry, playing golf, that is so directly tied to things like food and beverage. You know, a lot of these golf courses, that's a big part of their revenue stream is the food and beverage. So what will that look like for them? And I want to get Gavin's take on that too, because seeing as how what things look like in the UK, you know, just from chatting. Yeah, go ahead. No, I'm saying just from chatting with him before a little bit, and knowing that everything is shut down over there. It's just, I can't even imagine. I mean, you and I were there and we saw how busy it was. Can you visualize like the old course without anyone out there playing?
I was just going to say, I wonder if anybody's playing out there. I mean, I couldn't think about it because of how, when you and I were there, they were like to the minute with tee times. Just go from 5, 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. It's pretty incredible to think about.
It really is. I mean, I can't remember the last time. I mean, I don't even know if what major events, like maybe World War II, like the last time that course is maybe shut down. Probably. It's just so wild. But before we bring him on, we've got such a kind of a funny Twitter tap in today that I want to run in through those in a second. But first, let's just do a word to thank our sponsors. Guys, Titleist, the new Pro V1 and Pro V1X, they've been redesigned for more speed, more precision, and more consistency than ever before. And when you compare the two, the Pro V1 has a slightly softer feel, a little bit of a lower ball flight versus the Pro V1X. The Pro V1X, that's going to flight a little bit higher, a little bit more spin, slightly firmer feel. Again, and a lot of this comes down to the golfer. So you both balls, no matter whether you go with the V or you go with the X, you're going to get that proven drop and stop greenside control, that durability, the unsurpassed quality. You know, we learned firsthand about that when we went and toured the ball factory, the plant in Massachusetts. You realize what goes into it. So what it really comes down to is creating different tools that are going to work, for different golfers. We're all different as golfers. So what we always say is get out there, try it. If you get the opportunity to do a ball fitting this summer, hopefully we start to see that as this COVID thing eases up and people are back out there, and you can check out the Titleist website and see where they're going to be having their ball fittings. We got to go through that. I learned so much that day and really came out there confident knowing that the Pro V1 was for me. Mike, similarly, the Pro V1X for you. So it really comes down to finding the ball that best complements your game. And whether it be the Pro V1 or the Pro V1X, you're going to find something that really is something you can rely on. So definitely check them out. They're also both available in yellow if you want to go for the yellow, but prove how good you can be. Tee up the Pro V1 or Pro V1X on your next round. All right, Mike. So the Twitter tap-in. This one really caught some fire. Okay.
It did.
And I'm glad no one seemed to get too critically injured here. But I always find it interesting when you hear some stories about people being hit by golf balls, right? So for this week's Twitter tap-in, we said, have you ever been hit by a golf ball? Tell us the story. And the stories really came in. The one I wanted to highlight here first, and then Mike, I want to find out if you had a favorite. Let's see here. This is something else. At Promo Sip, he says, we asked if he'd been hit. He said twice by the same guy in a 3-week span. He said he quit the club shortly after, so thankfully I didn't have to buy a helmet. And then he said he came very close again last week when a 20-something hooked the ball that hit the top of his cart, narrowly missing his sternum. Ugh.
Oh my God. Jeez.
Dude, what do you say to the guy who's hit you twice in 3 weeks?
I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one. I'm not friends with him anymore if I was, but
for sure.
That's rough, man. Same guy. What are the chances?
Same guy. We said quit the club. I think that guy's got to quit the game.
Exactly.
You hit the same guy twice in 3 weeks. Oh my God. What other ones did you like here?
Let's see. We've got a bunch here, man. M3 Wood at M3 Wood Golf says, I actually jumped up and tried to catch one before it went into the water. Hurt way more than I thought it would, but I saved my buddy's ball. Now I don't know if it's worth it, but I don't know about that. I mean, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that'll surprise you.
I'm letting that one go.
And look, we joke about this again because all these people survived it, but you can get really hurt. I mean, we saw this with Brooks. I think it was Brooks Koepka on the PGA Tour, and that woman unfortunately lost her eye. But this one made me think of this. At Connor Fallon Golf he said right in the center of the chest by a 6-iron from about 30 yards away. He was behind some bushes. He said went down like a stone, down for about 20 minutes. Felt like I'd been shot or something like that. You don't want to experience that. Ugh.
No, you definitely don't. I mean, I have an instance where Ocean Acres down at the Jersey Shore, 18th hole. I was, of course, me. You always make the joke. I'm always like ahead of everyone else.
Right.
You might not even hit your shot, but I'm in my cart and I'm up there. Mm-hmm. And it came back to bite me because I was up by the green and my buddy was hitting his approach shot and he thinned it right off my shin. Yeah, so I had a huge black and blue. Nothing was cracked or broken or anything, but, it was painful. It was painful, man.
I've only ever been hit by a golf ball one time, knock on wood. Luckily, it wasn't that bad, and it was Mike who hit me.
It was, yeah.
Yes, at YouTube Golf Day.
YouTube Golf Day, right in the leg.
Right.
And we got it on film.
We got it on film. And
we did get it on film.
Luckily, it had one hopped the ground before it hit me. And that day was just crazy because, we're all kind of all over the course and there was spectators walking around with us. And I was on the opposite side of the fairway. I remember I was making my way down the opposite side of the fairway towards my ball. And you came from the left side of the fairway across the fairway, skipped one skip into my calf. Luckily, it hit the meat, not the shin, because the shin can really hurt. Listen to this one. At Ronin 1809 says, yes, but only by my own shot. Tried to rifle a low 5-iron under a sapling a few feet in front of me. Caught the tree flush and it ricocheted straight back, hit me square in the sternum, knocking me to the ground. As I got up, I acknowledged the 2-shot penalty.
That's great.
That is fun. And then look, a lot of these, that's how it happens. We see it on Instagram. Everybody like the trick shot guys who are just snaking it between the hitting him between, like threading the needle through the woods and whatever. And we think we could be a hero and pull it off. It hits those trees. It comes right back at you.
Mike Andrews. This is a good one.
Yeah.
18th fairway, Riviera during the Pro-Am. Amateur goes right off the tee, hits me straight in the man zone. I wish someone caught that on film.
I'll tell you what, that's one thing we've learned because we've attended enough Pro-Ams. Don't trust the AMs because everyone seems to stand in the same places they would where the pros would hit. And to me, I always, even when it's a pro, I'm thinking like, oh my God, like I don't want to stand here. And then the amateurs get up and it's just like shooting fish in a barrel at that point.
Right.
This one's cool. Jim T. Photo says, years ago, played with a friend in Lakeview in Toronto, standing about 10 yards directly to his left. He's a righty and facing him. So this is funny. Even when you're not ahead of the guy, you're right next to him. He said, he hits his second shot to par 5 directly at me. In a split second, I cover the family jewels. Ball hits my wrist, breaks it. I'm out for months.
Oh, man.
Man, some of these, I'm just cringing as I'm saying them because I'm thinking, can you imagine having your golf season ended right then and there?
No. Definitely not, man.
And here's another guy who got hit in the shin. He said teed off from a raised box that had brick wall around it. This is at Rat Muscle. He said about a half inch of brick was exposed due to erosion directly in front of me. Took driver, full swing, hit the ball, struck above said wall, rebounded into my shin. The pain was out of this world.
Jeez.
But there were a few people here who did say that they finished their round, and a few of them said that was thanks to a little bit of Jack Daniels or otherwise that got them through.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But there's too many in here to read. There's even some pictures. At It's Melts Johnny V shared one where he went to the driving range on his lunch, and one of the balls, the guy hit like this hosel rocket that deflected off that side wood barrier, ricocheted, blasted him right in the dome. He said the blood came streaming. So he's got a towel on his head and he's got blood running down his face. And I'm just like, just thinking you're safe at the driving range. And no.
Yeah, guys. Wow. Be safe out there.
Be safe.
Jeez.
There's too many here to go through. I would encourage you guys to check it out. Go to our Twitter and look at this week's Twitter tap-in because there's just too many stories here and they're all just absolutely incredible. But anyway, had fun reading those. Let's do a quick word from our sponsor and then we're going to bring Gavin on the show. We're going to talk a little bit, like I said, about how coronavirus and COVID-19 and this worldwide pandemic is affecting golf equipment manufacturers around the world.
For sure. So speaking of Gavin and ShotScope, I want to thank those guys at ShotScope. And, Frank, I just want to thank all our sponsors. I mean, if you guys are fans of the show, do us a favor and show those guys love, because, they're struggling as well. Everyone's struggling. So big thanks to those guys. And in case you're new to the podcast, the ShotScope V2, it is the world's smartest golf watch. It's got the laser-like GPS, the stat tracking, all built into one watch. And what I love about it the most is the data you get from your game right there at your fingertips, right? It's this easy dashboard that you can navigate. And the watch itself, super easy to use. You just put it on, you put the nubs on your clubs once, and you get out there and you fire it up and off you go. I mean, if you want to learn a lot about your golf game and you got a pretty deadly, we've tested this with a laser rangefinder, pretty deadly GPS device out of it, then go check out the V2. Visit shotscope.com/Golficity. The price is still $119. So definitely go and check those guys out. And lastly, I want to thank FootJoy. Guys, take your game to the max this spring with the new Tour X golf shoes from FootJoy, fully loaded inside and out. These things are pretty. They're pretty looking shoes, but more importantly, they deliver max stability, comfort, and, these launch pods. I love it. It's interesting. They got these launch pods that give you stability to kind of crush the ball past your partner. We think shoes, we think apparel, we just think look, but these actually offer performance. And the Tour X, they wrap your foot in these Ortholite impression fit beds. They got these foam collars around the heel because we walk a lot. You and I walk 10 rounds almost in Scotland, 9 out of the 10 rounds.
Yeah, in just a few days.
Yeah, in just 6 days. And we were, you could feel a lot on your feet. And these things, they're designed to help you get through. They ensure that max in-shoe comfort and support. So tour proven by guys like Kisner, and all the other guys, Poulter and those guys on tour. Experience max performance for yourself with the all-new FootJoy Tour X. You could shop now at footjoy.com.
All right, Mike, what do you say we bring Gavin in on the show now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, guys. So we are fortunate enough to have Gavin Dear on the line. Gavin, you guys may have heard him on the show before, seen him in some of our videos. If you watch the Scotland series, he's definitely a familiar face for you. But for any of our new listeners, Gavin, first, welcome to the show. And secondly, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your role at ShotScope?
Sure. Thanks, guys, for having me on. Yeah, so I'm kind of in charge of the commercial side of the business, so sales and marketing predominantly. As you'll hear, Scottish, as you'll know from the Scottish series. So company's based in Scotland, but we sort of take care of worldwide sales and marketing. So yeah, fun and games. Especially
I can only imagine. And we saw you just recently at the PGA show, and I feel like, although that was only about a month ago, so much has changed between now and then.
Yeah, so we knew a little bit about the virus at the PGA show. What I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about how we manufacture. So we manufacture in Malaysia, and which is maybe different. A lot of people think it would be China. And we've done that for a couple of years now. But some of our components, or for instance, our straps, are actually made in China. So when everything was kicking off in China, we started to see some impacts on some suppliers going into our manufacturer. None of us have the experience to know that it was going to be as big as it has become.
Of course.
Right?
Of course.
And bizarrely, because of Chinese New Year, you're trying to get everything done before Chinese New Year, so that our manufacturer can hit the goals that we've put forward. So bizarrely, we were actually in quite a good spot.
Staying a little bit ahead of it at that point. Like you're saying, like ramping up and having enough inventory.
Yes. We had some interesting problems. Our batteries were delayed. They come out of China. Reason for that is our supplier's pretty much the best supplier in the game. And they were late, so that impacted us and it made us start thinking. Now we had some batteries from them, so we were working with our manufacturer to deal with that. But then obviously, as this has impacted the world, well, now our manufacturer in Malaysia's under a lockdown, so that's impacting it. So it's been kind of a progressive. We've navigated this quite well. More through luck than skill.
Right. We could call it skill.
Oh, no. Yeah. So it's some fun and games, really. A lot of fun and games on the manufacturing side.
And now it's crossing. I mean, manufacturing is the first thing a lot of us think of, but now it's crossing that line to the entire supply chain, including retail, with everybody being closed. So what does it look like for you right now? Is the company just putting on pause? Are you experiencing similar lockdowns there in the UK as we are here in the States?
Yeah, so we closed our office 2 weeks ago, actually. And that was a little bit before. But we felt as though our team's got young families. Our team's a young team. You guys have met a lot of the team.
Yep.
They're active. They're in gyms. They're in bars. They're buses. And we just thought, you know what? We've got the capabilities. Let's go and work from home. So we've been doing that for 2 weeks. Every golf course in the UK is closed. It's been that way for a week, just over a week.
I can't imagine what it must look like to see the old course without people on it. I mean, when we were over there, there were tee times going off from sun up, which at that time was like 6 a.m. till sundown, which was 10 p.m. I mean, have you been over? Probably you haven't been over that way because you're in Edinburgh, right? So you wouldn't have been over that way.
So let me think. In 11 days, I've not been further away than 4 miles from my house.
That sounds like a lot of us. That's for sure. Yeah.
But I do walk the dog around a golf course. So I went on and had a little chat with some of the greenkeepers. And they obviously had a problem. Social distancing, essential work only, or work from home. So what they've been doing is they've said, okay, well, if we don't have a skeleton crew, we can't maintain the golf course to any level. We've just hit a sort of warm period. And so now the grass is going to grow.
Right.
So you need to do basic maintenance. So they're doing basic maintenance to maintain golf courses. And I don't know. I mean, I think we'll probably be back playing golf courses in May.
May would be good. May, yeah.
I mean, there's advantages to that. I mean, you could go out and play in 2 balls, which is you're not meant to have groups of more than 2 here. They did some things where they raised the cups.
Right.
So you weren't picking the ball out. You didn't have to pull the flag out, anything, stuff like that. So I could see us doing that for a little bit in May. But certainly it's weird going around and looking at golf courses. No one's playing. There's no flags on them. What kind of condition will they be in? I know the greenkeepers that are working hard.
Right.
Because, again, they've got to provide value to their members, and memberships aren't cheap. So maintain that as a business and keep that activity and club open.
Yeah, we see the same struggles here. A lot, of course, and we vary a lot state by state, but now we're starting to see it just kind of cross the country where courses are closing. But here in New York and New Jersey, especially being kind of New York being the real epicenter for a while here, we were seeing courses, close, almost 2 weeks ago. And a lot of it too came down to, and we saw similar things where members would say, can I just go out there and walk it? But it became a maintenance thing. And we had a lot of what they call non-essential businesses being closed. And they said, well, if the business is closed, the maintenance guys can't come in. If the maintenance guys can't come in, then you really can't play the course. So I even saw a couple of petitions going around trying to get them to be essential so that, people could get outdoors and play responsibly. But it's been a real challenge. But from your end, it must be even interesting, not just on the golf courses, but ShotScope collects so many millions of data points from everyone. Yeah. What's it like to see that system just kind of go dark? I mean, you're worldwide, so you're probably still seeing some scores come in, right?
So we've gone from about, let me change that. My phone dropped. The challenges of working from home. We've gone from doing about between 2,000 or 3,000 rounds a day to like 100.
Wow.
And now I haven't, because we're working from home, normally if we're in the office, say, okay, where are these rounds taking place? I haven't asked the guys to go and pull that information. So I don't know. I mean, Europe's locked down, so it's not in Europe.
Right.
So it must be US, some of the states that have got golf courses that are still open, really.
Could be states.
I mean, we're still seeing some... seeing some guys in the Facebook group posting, I was able to get out there for 9 and they're posting their ShotScope score. So I am seeing some activity in the U.S. Yeah. I was going to make a joke and say maybe it's Antarctica. Obviously, there's no courses there, but I'm still seeing a little bit of activity. My uncle today, who's down in Florida, sent me a photo from his back porch. He lives in a community of just golfers out there playing. They are walking, 2 people only, but they're still going for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would wonder too. Even Australia. Do you guys are in Australia?
Yeah, we are, but Australia have started to lock down some golf courses there as well. But like you said, from the retail side, pro shops are shut, retail shops are shut. Right. Amazon FBA is effectively only taking in essential goods.
Right, I heard the same. Which makes me, want to ask the question, and Gavin, you being around, not just beyond ShotScope, you being around the game and the industry of golf for so long, do you find this? I mean, of course, it's a common thing across all, golf equipment manufacturers of all types. But what's your feeling here? Who do you think is going to be hit the hardest, and what can they do to kind of recover from this?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think for golf, it's amplified by the seasonality aspect.
Yeah.
Guys were, leveraged up for late March, early April, guys being excited by the season getting back, getting out there and playing golf, buying equipment.
Yeah.
From a shot scope perspective, we're launching the V3 this year. Initially it was going to be sort of end of March. We ran into a few things. We've changed that into sort of early June. So from shot scope perspective, we had pretty much written off March, April, May. We're very lucky.
Right.
I mean, if we were in the opposite position, we'd be looking to try and launch under these market conditions. So when you look at it and go, some of the sort of the companies, I think the medium golf companies, the smaller golf companies that have leveraged up with stock and product, that's a really tough place to be.
No doubt about it. I mean, Mike and I were talking about the same thing, and the big guys, they're gonna push through it and survive it. Guys like yourself, as you said, a little bit of a fortune with the timing, but also, built it up to a big enough thing to survive something like this. But as we went through the PGA show, there was a lot of guys launching brand new. Obviously, they've got cash flow situations, debt, stuff like that. I got to think it's going to hurt some of them. But my hope too, though, is that we'll see a big resurgence when we do get some good news and we start to pass this and it starts to get to May and June. And if we start to get to where the world is healing in a lot of ways, I think it's going to be even more so. People chomping at the bit to getting out, people being more grateful at their opportunities to get out. I think we may see just kind of a resurgence of, hopefully, if the economy is strong enough, people celebrating that with going out and buying some new gear and getting back out there for sure. The other one, we talked about golf courses before. I think that you'll see them hurt a little bit. Obviously, here in the States, we have the different levels of private courses, and the top tier guys are always going to be full up with memberships. But it's those other ones, and the ones who rely heavily, Mike, you and I talked about this, the guys who rely heavily on food and beverage service as part of supplementing the golf. Those courses, those kind of like mid-tier private clubs, I wouldn't be surprised if a couple of them have a little bit of trouble coming out on the other end of this.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree. You're right. I mean, the Baltusrolls of the world will be fine, but some of those low tier clubs that you and I like to enjoy that are open to the public, the semi-privates, the Mansion Ridges, Frank, of the world, and some of those clubs I feel for, and we're only hoping for the best.
I think our only hope is to say, like what I said, when we do get that good news, when we move through this, that the golf community comes together and there's a resurgence and everybody gets back out there. Do you feel like it's kind of a similar feel across the pond there in the UK, Gavin?
Yeah, I mean, from a product and manufacturer standpoint, again, from a shot scope perspective, we're very fortunate. We work with big box retailers. We sell direct. Amazons of the world, we work with them, and we also work with pros. So from a channel perspective, I feel as though we've got things covered off, and we know how to sell direct if we had to go that way. And that's a skill that maybe a lot of the golf industry hasn't done as such from a manufacturing standpoint.
Right.
And that ability to maneuver things can help you get through this time. The golf clubs, I mean, you summarized it correctly. Yeah. Wow. It's, you take, especially Scotland, we're huge tourism section.
Right.
Sector.
The travel piece for sure.
Oh, so those guys are taking a battering just now. Your top courses, they'll have a rainy day fund. They'll have put money away correctly. But then when you go to the club courses, the course that's in one town has one course, or a village has one course. Some tend to do subscriptions at the start of the year, but some do it on the start of April. And I wouldn't want to be them. That's a tough place to be. I've seen a lot of the discussions online sort of saying, look, support your golf club. Think of it as though there's snow on the ground for 6 weeks.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's a value proposition game.
Yeah. And how many of those courses in Scotland do you feel like are largely supported in general by the tourism? I remember just thinking while we were over there, how, you see those huge tourist buses coming through and playing places like Kingsbarns and even the old course. And in a lot of ways that the money that comes from that tourism really kind of subsidizes the local golfers who often play at a reduced rate or whatever it may be. I got to think that that's going to put a hurt on them.
So there's 560 courses, give or take, in Scotland. You probably would think there's 30 to 40 Kingsbarns, Nairn, Carnoustie, elk golf courses, but then there's probably another 60 to 100 kind of hidden gems like your London Links, your Ladybanks, that benefit from someone coming and playing at St Andrews, Kingsbarns, and then they go and play those two courses as well. So there's a core of golf courses there that are probably relatively reliant on those fees, but also, we have things like men's opens where one-day competitions and the course is full and it brings cash in, like you said, food and beverage.
Yeah.
So all those events are off as such, and that's like you said. Scotland, we can't be picky with the weather, so you have a good April. It's now dark here at 8-9 o'clock at night, so the days are getting longer. And you need to capitalize on that and make sure that it's a good time. Look, if we get back playing some type of golf in early May, mid-May, things really open up in June and we get some good weather, that'll do a lot of good for the golf game. I think you're right. Guys are desperate to get on the golf course. You see the clips in the backyard with a mattress hitting golf balls into it.
Yep.
Chipping nets will be selling by the dozen.
Yeah.
So guys are desperate. They've looked forward to it, but it's a challenge for no one's immune.
No one.
It will be worldwide, and it's tours and watching the game of golf, and it's everything.
Yeah, and that's it. All we can really hope for is that strong bounce back, get through this quickly. I think it's very promising seeing everyone doing their part and being at home and really, I think it's really starting to settle in globally of how important it is that if we can go through this hardship now, it may be hard, but it'll get us to the other end of the tunnel quicker. But it's funny. Sometimes we talk about golf and missing our golf game. And we say, all right, well, people have bigger things to worry about, people are dying from this disease and stuff like that. But the other side of that is saying that it's more than that. It's more than just our golf game. It's people's livelihoods. As you said, we talked about the golf courses. We talked about the manufacturers. But that's why I think it's, if anything, when we do start to work our way out of this, now is the time for us as golfers to come together and support the golf, the different areas of the game that mean so much to us, whether it be our local clubs or the clubs we travel to or the brands that we like and the ones that we want to help them get through this. And I think it's a time for us to really come together on that.
Yeah. And I'll be interested to see how the consumer changes after this.
Yeah.
So for instance, my general thinking on that is there's going to be a move towards online direct sales. People have found that, sounds crazy, I know, but I look at my parents, they've now got an Amazon account. They didn't have one before. They're ordering things online.
Right.
God, that's easy. I'm ordering groceries online. That's easy. But I also think I've seen a trend towards, wow, there's shops in the next village that I really appreciate, I want to make sure that I shop with that business to make sure that business goes on.
Right.
And I wonder after this, in a golf perspective, if some golfers change and start to buy direct, and some golfers say, you know what, I need some more balls. I'm going to pick them up from my local pro shop.
For sure.
I'm going to buy them. And does that change that how that consumer works?
It's so true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so true because we're seeing the same here. We're seeing a lot of the support local, and people are trying to, and that I'm sure that will creep into the golf as well, where people are buying from their local pro shops. But even now we're seeing in China, some of the news is as they move their way out of this and the government starts to try to get them to go back out and start to, pull back the restrictions, whereas we're putting the restrictions on now because we're later in the game. But as they're pulling them back, they're finding there's a trust level where people aren't quite ready yet. They're not quite ready to go out. So I'm sure even as those retail stores do start to open up, there's a good chance people continue to buy direct online, buy their clubs, buy whatever they can. I mean, again, here too, ShotScope is fortunate enough that it's something that you would buy online. You do your research and you buy it. But certain things like clubs that you have to swing them, you got to get down there and get a fitting or whatever. I think that some things are going to require that in store, and I wonder how long that progression will take.
Yeah, I mean, that no one can answer that question really of when that will we get back to normal. Will the world have changed from that? I agree. I mean, I'm really glad we don't sell golf clubs.
Right.
Where for 10 years, the industry has driven people towards club fitting, which I wholeheartedly believe in.
Yeah.
But you need person-to-person interaction there.
Right.
So how can we sell you golf clubs unless you go through that method of club fitting? I mean, you're right. For ShotScope, we do a lot of sales directly anyway. But also, especially in the UK, we have a huge number of pro shops. So hopefully we can support those guys as they get back up on their feet. And if that consumer changes across the world, then we need to react to it.
For sure. And then I know, as we said earlier, it's kind of going to be anyone's guess because we just don't know how quickly we'll come out of this. But what would you say is ShotScope's plan going forward? Is it going to be, I guess, continuing this lockdown for a while and just I would imagine as China and some of the like that area, you said Malaysia and stuff like that, as that production starts to ramp up, the production's going to start coming back in. But I mean, even you're going to have some travel things to deal with. But what is your loose, I know subject to change, what is your kind of loose plans for the next, I guess, month and a half?
So next month and a half, we're continuing to get ready for launch. We are really dictated by what happens in Malaysia, but we're hearing pretty good things coming out of Malaysia regarding their lockdown. We have a plan to still make all of our timelines currently.
Wow.
But again, that's subject to
change for sure. Yeah.
But also, I mean, from a launch perspective, we spent a lot of time at the PGA show talking to all the big box retailers, and they've really bought into the new product. And they were to be part of our launch worldwide as well. I mean, we're talking 35 different retailers worldwide. The interesting bit will be whether they're all in a position to do that.
Right. Because they're all going to be struggling with similar cash flow issues from this waiting period.
Yeah.
For inventorying up and things like that, I'm thinking.
Yeah. I mean, yes, from an inventory standpoint, from a cash flow standpoint, from, at the end of the day, they've got things that they're going to have to deal with,
right,
which are much bigger than ShotScope.
Right.
I don't know where they were with products. I know in the UK, the big box guys were cancelling down POs, etc., quite early. They could see this kind of coming. And we had information coming back and forward from retailers about how they knew Chinese supplied products were struggling in February. So they were already being impacted and putting in various different plans. So that for us is working out what that looks like. Making sure that people have the product in their hands to go and test and review and talk about. We'll spill the beans. You guys have seen it, so that's okay. But again, it's that's a challenge because everybody's working from home and
right,
and it works differently and all of that. So for us, it's just navigating these challenges. This is again when we look at being a sort of a younger company, probably a bit more agile.
Right.
We can move things around, but it's like you said, I mean, plans have changed. In the last 10 days, they change constantly.
Yeah.
The worst bit is you're not really in control. You're reacting to various government policies, etc.
Mm-hmm.
The good side of it for us is, not that I want it this way, but people aren't out in April and May buying other products that when they could be, we weren't released.
Right.
So, no, I'd rather people were playing golf, but yeah. So you just have to roll with it, and at the end of the day, we manage the company very well, and so I feel as though we can get through this and sort of go from strength to strength, and hopefully everybody stays safe and golf gets up and running, and the tours get up and running, and.
That's what it comes down to. Like we said, it really just is a waiting game now, and just see how quickly we get that good news that it's okay to start getting back out there, and then how quickly people trust that news that they feel like it's okay, and then they just start getting out there and playing. And I know, golfers are a resilient bunch. There's very few things that keep them away from the golf course. So I think as soon as the opportunity comes, they're going to do it. And, even on our end, speaking to what you said before, testing and products and things like that, there's that new territory for myself, for Mike, where we want to get out there. We want to inform people of what's going on. We want to, play with new equipment. We want to play new golf courses, and all of that is kind of on hold here as well. So it's a challenge, but like I said, it's a challenge that we're all in it together. Everybody's got to face with that same challenge, but all we can do is kind of hope that it turns around quickly. But it's good, at least from your end, to hear that you guys are working your way through it. I really hope the same is going to be of the majority of golf, equipment and service companies out there, because we really hate to see anybody suffer to the point of having to shut their doors through this, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is you just don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
Competition's good. Innovation takes place. At the end of the day, golf's a sport, but it's really a game. It's an activity where it helps fitness. You get guys out of all ages. They're playing golf. They enjoy themselves. It's an escape.
Right.
It's a pastime, whatever you want to call it. I would like to see us get back. I'd like to see the tours do some stuff. I'd like to see them schedule the majors in for September, October, which might extend that season out a little bit, especially in the eyes of a golfer.
Right.
And get people going. But it's, marketing plans shot to pieces.
Yeah.
We were doing a pro-am in September here as part of a sponsorship of a tour in the UK, and we were going to invite sort of 70 or 80 of our users along and get feedback so we can work over the winter on different things. They've cancelled the tour for the year. Just can't run it. And that's a tour that feeds into the Challenge Tour, which feeds into the European Tour.
Right.
So the impact is colossal. So,
well, that's just it. We're all moving on to Plan Z at this point. We've been through all the other steps leading up to that. But yeah, so it was good. It was good to get a chance to get you on here to check in a little bit, to hear a little bit just about the state of the game over there. I can't think of any other time in history that all of the golf courses were closed. I don't even think in World War II all the golf courses were closed in the UK. But I don't know. It's a wild thing. It's new territory, but as you said, we learn from it. We work through it all together. And then at the end of the day, the hope is that we all come out of this maybe a little bit stronger, stronger as a golf community, stronger as, companies as yourself, kind of like forged in the fire here, learning to adapt. I mean, if you can kind of adapt your way through this, you can probably adapt through anything. And I think all of those little fires that we think of, that we used to think were big problems, now are pale in comparison.
Mm-hmm.
I think it helps us all with dealing with that stress of being like maybe a small manufacturing delay coming out of, your plant in Malaysia or whatever it may be, seems futile compared to dealing with it from all ends now, So.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely echo all of that. And, at the end of the day, it's great. You get, the main thing is people are still finding ways to enjoy the game, have activity. I've seen chipping challenges around Facebook. Yeah. We did the emojis, that shows everything. Our support team came up with those emojis because there's no support questions, no support to be done.
Right.
So it's different ways to interact around the game. So that, that's the key, and then we'll get back playing some point.
We sure will. And hopefully, Gavin, you, me, Mike will be able to get a chance to play again. Well, I can't even ask you if you have any plans to travel to the States because nobody has any travel plans right now. But
yeah, well, I do. So we've got a family holiday in September to the States. So I'm kind of hoping that'll be on, but I don't know. And then, I'd planned to be out in the States 5 times this year. Luckily, I haven't booked anything. I don't know.
Yeah.
Everyone's learning new ways to work from home. It changes as well.
For sure. But hey, maybe it'll save you some travel in the future. But anyway, we'll leave it there. Won't keep you up too much of your time. I know we all have a little bit more free time than we usually do. But it's great chatting with you. It's great to get your insight, like I said, as somebody who knows the industry and knows the game so well, to just kind of see how a company of your size is adapting and getting through this. And I'm glad everything's going well. Send our best, obviously, to the entire ShotScope team. Hope everybody over there stays healthy, stays safe, and is back out there playing as soon as possible.
No, I appreciate that. And I'll let them know via Slack.
There you go.
And like say, everyone pulls together. I mean, we've been getting mass deliveries from suppliers, and, it's great to see what's happening. So, no, thanks, guys, for having us on. Great to talk, as always, and stay safe.
You too. All right, Gavin, we'll catch up again soon. All right.
Cheers.
Take care. All right, so great speaking with Gavin. And Mike, it makes me flash back to something that you had said when we were even doing the ad reads, earlier on, and saying it's important to support, the community and support the brands that you feel connected to, whoever that may be, the golf courses that mean something to you. I think we just need to be prepared and ready that when this thing passes, and we will get through this, that it just becomes even more so that we don't take these things for granted. ShotScope, we're very close with them. We've had that opportunity to meet the team. Every person on that team is just an incredible human being. And you could even see it just talking to Gavin, how much he cares about the game and he cares about, what's going on and things like that. So I think we learn from that. And, I think it's something that once we're back out there, we're going to come together even more so as a golf community. I try to find the silver lining in what has been a very difficult situation for so many people. And I think a big part of that silver lining, like I said, is the idea that the community will really come together even more so as golfers. I think, whereas before, there's always that joke that goes around when you've got, a threesome and you get paired with that single, everybody's like rolling their eyes. I think it'll be the other way. It's like, yeah, buddy, come play.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Come on out, man. Let's
because
go.
it's just like, you're just so happy to be around people again, Right. But even more so being around like-minded people, golfers and people who want to be out there. So I think that's, if that nothing else, that's a big silver lining. And it was interesting getting Gavin's insight into understanding how, and you really see that it's truly a global supply chain. Here's a company that's based in Scotland, headquartered in Scotland, and has, some parts being manufactured in China, some parts in Malaysia, and then they're being shipped. And then that goes out to a worldwide network of retailers. So it just shows you how we're all really connected and all kind of rely on each other. And that's why we all have to work together to get through this.
Totally. Couldn't agree anymore, man.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Thanks again to our guest, Gavin from ShotScope, for coming on, and hope you guys enjoy the show. Make sure you post your thoughts in the comments. We always love hearing from you guys. So post those, or you could tweet at us, but let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you're seeing in your corner of the world, and how it's going, and how, and again, like I said, how we can bring this community together and really get through this when it's time to move on. But in the meantime, everybody stay safe, everybody stay healthy, and we'll see everybody again next week.